For whatever reason, I actually think this is a very easy question for number 30. Number 30 out of 30, if you've been watching these other videos in this section, you've heard me talk probably a couple times about sensing the difficulty and knowing when to expect some sort of trick question. This is supposed to be the hardest question or one of the hardest questions in this section, and it's actually really easy. But it gets to something that the SAT does a lot. Sometimes they make things hard by making them seem easy, but then there's a trick. In this case, it's hard because most people don't really know what it's saying. They haven't memorized the right formulas. And so number 29 was also kind of like that, where it's hard because it's testing a difficult concept. And so the good news is, for those of us who have memorized a lot of that stuff, it's going to be really easy, and we can be justified a lot of times in just using our instincts, I guess, to get the answer. Here, we should just know what they want, right? So this is a graph of a parabola, great. Which of the following has the coordinates of vertex A as constants in the equation? Well, that's fancy math talk for just like, where does this number appear in the equation, right? So there's a value of that point. It doesn't tell us it. We can figure it out because we can see that 1 is clearly the value of A, right? It looks like it's 15, so that's why a lot of people pick choice C, but where's that 2 coming from, right? That's not in there. And we can plug it in. We can say, okay, 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 15. That's 1 minus 2, which is negative 1. Minus 15 is negative 16. So that's actually the coordinate of that point, which then draws us to choice D. But better than all of that is recognizing from the start that choice D is the only version that is the vertex form of a parabola. So it's going to have the vertex in it because that's its purpose. That's the whole purpose of it. So what is the vertex form? It's y is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. Now this does not have an a. In this case, a is 1. It's used to kind of make the parabola bigger and smaller this way. But what it does have is the hk, which is the vertex, hk. And so that lines up with the numbers that we have. So there are two pieces of this that can still be confusing. The k term is going to be identical to whatever in the graph, right? So negative 16 was on the graph. Negative 16 appears in my equation. The h term, the x portion of the vertex, is going to get flipped, right? The sign is going to be opposite because the formula itself includes a negative. So that confuses things a little bit. So the value on the graph is positive 1. It's still kind of positive 1 in the actual equation, but it now looks like negative 1 because the formula contains a negative. So that's going to matter more, obviously, when the x value is negative and then becomes positive. So just remember that it's this little like switch. Anytime we have things in parentheses in equations, there's this weird switch that tends to happen. It happens with these forms, that tells the roots of the quadratic, but it also happens in circles. It happens now in the vertex too. So there's a couple places, but if you recognize that pattern, if you memorize these formulas, this question is 2 seconds. You really don't even need to do any work because you've done the work already of doing the memorization.